Hello, night wanderers. Welcome back to the Pale Watcher. Before we begin tonight's journey into terror, I want you to do something for me. Check the time right now. Really look at it. Remember it. Because after you hear this story, you might find yourself checking the time a lot more often, especially in those quiet hours between midnight and dawn. Now, get comfortable. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Drop a comment telling me what time it is where you are and whether you're brave enough to listen to this with the lights off. Tonight's story is about sleep, about the rituals we perform without thinking, the routines that keep us safe, and what happens when those routines are broken. It's about the rules we follow in the dark and the things that punish us when we forget. So, settle in, close your eyes if you dare, and let me tell you about Dr. Amelia Cross and the sleep study that should never have been approved. Night 1, the baseline. I've always been a terrible sleeper. That's what made me perfect for the study, according to Dr. Reeves. Chronic insomnia, a tendency to wake at odd hours, and a desperate willingness to try anything that might give me 8 consecutive hours of rest. When I saw the flyer at my therapist's office, sleep study participants needed $5,000 compensation, I didn't even read the fine print before calling. The Somnus Institute was located in a converted medical building on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon. 3 stories of beige brick and tinted windows that made it impossible to see inside. The lobby was deliberately calming, soft lighting, the sound of running water from a fountain, chairs so comfortable they seemed designed to put you to sleep just sitting in them. Dr. Cross, a woman in her 40s, approached me, extending her hand. She had the kind of calm, measured energy that I associated with meditation instructors and hospice nurses. I'm Dr. Patricia Reeves. Thank you so much for participating. Please follow me. She led me through a series of hallways, each one quieter than the last, until we reached a door marked Sleep Lab 3. Inside was a bedroom that looked almost normal. Queen-size bed with crisp white sheets, nightstand, dresser, even a window with curtains. The only things that betrayed its clinical purpose were the cameras mounted in the corners and the tangle of wires and sensors waiting on the nightstand. We've designed the space to be as comfortable as possible, Dr. Reeves said, noticing my examination of the room. The goal is to observe natural sleep patterns in a controlled environment. You'll spend 7 nights here, Sunday through Saturday. Each night, we'll monitor your brain activity, eye movement, heart rate, and several other vitals. And what exactly are you studying? I asked. Sleep architecture and its relationship to consciousness. Specifically, we're interested in what happens during the transition periods, when you're falling asleep and when you're waking up. Those liminal moments when the brain is neither fully conscious nor fully unconscious. She began attaching sensors to my temples, my chest, my wrists. The process took 20 minutes, and by the end, I felt like a science experiment rather than a person, which I suppose I was. Now, there are some rules you'll need to follow, Dr. Reeves said, pulling out a laminated card from her pocket. They're very important for the integrity of the study. Rule 1, you must be in bed by 10 p.m. each night. Rule 2, you must not leave the bed between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. unless it's an emergency. Rule 3, and this is crucial, Amelia, if you wake up during the night, you must not open your eyes until you hear the morning announcement at 6 a.m. Why not? Opening your eyes triggers a cascade of neural responses that can corrupt the data we're collecting. We need to observe your brain in its natural sleep-wake cycles without voluntary intervention. If you wake up, keep your eyes closed, try to relax, and let yourself drift back to sleep naturally. What if I really need to open them? Dr. Reeves' expression became very serious. Then you'll need to press the emergency button on the nightstand and wait for a staff member to come get you. But Amelia, I cannot stress this enough. Do not open your eyes between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. unless it's an absolute emergency. The protocol is designed around this rule." "Okay," I said, though something about her intensity made me uneasy. "Eyes closed. Got it. Good." She relaxed slightly. "The bathroom is through that door if you need it before lights out. There's water on the nightstand. Try to relax and sleep normally. We'll see you in the morning." She left, and I heard the lock click from the outside. I was trapped in a bedroom for the next 10 hours. I changed into the provided pajamas, soft cotton, deliberately comfortable, and climbed into bed. It was 9:47 p.m., 13 minutes until lights out. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, and tried to remember the last time I'd fallen asleep before midnight. Couldn't recall one. At exactly 10 p.m., the lights went out, not gradually, but all at once, plunging the room into complete darkness. A soft voice came through a hidden speaker. "Good night, Dr. Cross. Remember the protocol. Sleep well." I lay in the dark and waited for sleep that I knew wouldn't come. My insomnia had started 3 years ago, after the accident. I didn't like thinking about the accident, didn't like remembering the sound of metal crunching, the smell of gasoline, my husband's David's hand going slack in mine. But at night, in the dark, the memories had a way of finding me anyway. I pushed them away and focused on my breathing. In for 4 counts, hold for 4, out for 4. A meditation technique my therapist had taught me. It helped sometimes, not tonight. I lay there for what felt like hours, hyper-aware of every sound. The hum of ventilation, the whisper of fabric when I shifted position, the almost imperceptible buzz of the cameras watching me from the corners. And then something else. Footsteps in the hallway outside my room. Slow, measured, deliberate. They stopped just outside my room, and I heard the soft sound of someone breathing. I told myself it was Dr. Reeves or another staff member checking on the participants. Nothing sinister, just normal medical facility sounds. The door handle rattled just once, then the footsteps moved on. I exhaled, not realizing I'd been holding my breath. My phone, which I'd been allowed to keep, though I had to put it on airplane mode, showed 11:34 p.m. Only an hour and a half, though it felt like much longer. This was going to be a very long night. I must have eventually dozed off because I woke suddenly with that disoriented feeling of not knowing where I was. The room was still pitch black. I reached automatically for my phone to check the time, then remembered the sensors attached to my body would record the movement. I lay still and listened. Something was wrong. I could feel it, that primal sense that had kept our ancestors alive when predators were near. Something in the room had changed. I heard breathing that wasn't mine. It was coming from the corner of the room, near the dresser. Slow, steady breaths that were just slightly out of sync with my own. I froze, every muscle tense, my own breathing stopping altogether. The protocol, the rule, don't open your eyes. But every instinct was screaming at me to look, to see what was in the room with me, to identify the threat. I compromised. I kept my eyes closed, but reached slowly for the emergency button Dr. Reeves had shown me on the nightstand. My hand found empty space. The nightstand was gone. No, not gone. Moved. It was no longer beside the bed. I patted the space where it should have been, found nothing but carpet. The breathing in the corner grew louder. I did something stupid. I opened my eyes. The room was still dark, but not completely. There was a faint luminescence I hadn't noticed before, a bluish glow that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. And in that glow, I could see the corner where the breathing was coming from. Something was there. A shape darker than the surrounding darkness, roughly human-sized, but wrong in its proportions. Too tall, too thin, arms that hung too low. It was facing me, and as I watched, it raised one long-fingered hand and pointed at me. Then the lights blazed on, and the morning announcement played. "Good morning, Dr. Cross. It is now 6 a.m. Please wait for staff to remove your sensors." The corner was empty. The nightstand was exactly where it should have been, right beside my bed. Everything was normal. Dr. Reeves entered, her expression pleasant and professional. "Good morning. How did you sleep?" I didn't know what to say. I had a strange experience. I woke up in the middle of the night and I thought I heard something, saw something. Her expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. "Did you open your eyes?" "Yes, I know I wasn't supposed to, but I heard breathing, and I couldn't find the emergency button." "The button was there, Amelia, exactly where I showed you." Her tone was still kind, but carried a note of concern. "Opening your eyes during the night can trigger hypnagogic hallucinations, visions that occur in the transition between sleep and waking. It's quite common, but it's why the protocol is so important. By opening your eyes, you've potentially compromised tonight's data." "I'm sorry, it just felt so real." "I understand, but please, tonight, follow the protocol exactly. Keep your eyes closed no matter what you experience. The hallucinations may be disturbing, but they cannot hurt you. They're just your brain misfiring. Can you do that?" I nodded, though I wasn't entirely convinced what I'd seen was a hallucination. She removed the sensors efficiently, and I was free to leave the room. The next 16 hours were mine. I could go home, go to work, live my normal life, but I had to return by 8 p.m. for preparation for night 2. I left the Somnus Institute feeling unsettled. Something about Dr. Reeves' reaction bothered me. She'd been too quick to explain away what I'd seen, too insistent that I followed the protocol. And there was something else. When she'd said tonight's data, she'd emphasized the word in a way that suggested the data was more important than my comfort or safety. But I needed that $5,000, and I needed to know if there was any treatment, any solution for my insomnia. So I'd come back tonight. I just wouldn't open my eyes. Night 2, the pattern. I spent the day researching the Somnus Institute. Their website was professional but sparse. No information about who funded them, no publications listed, no staff directory beyond Dr. Reeves. The few reviews I found online were strange. All 5 stars, all using similar language about life-changing sleep improvement and understanding the truth about rest. They read more like testimonials from a cult than reviews of a medical study. I almost didn't go back. But at 7:30 p.m., I found myself driving to the Institute anyway. Curiosity, desperation, or maybe just the need to prove to myself that last night had been nothing but a hallucination. I wasn't sure which. Dr. Reeves greeted me warmly, no mention of the previous night's incident. She attached the sensors with practiced efficiency and reminded me once more, eyes closed no matter what. The protocol must be maintained. "What happens if I break it again?" I asked. She paused, her hands stilling on a sensor at my temple. "The study would be compromised. Your participation would be terminated, and..." She hesitated. "And you might see things that are difficult to unsee. The liminal space between sleep and waking is delicate, Amelia. Observing it changes it. Some doors, once opened, can't be closed again." That sounds more philosophical than medical. "The line between the two is thinner than you think." She finished with the sensors and stepped back. 10 p.m., lights out. Remember the rules. She left, and I was alone again. I climbed into bed at 9:50 p.m., determined to keep my eyes closed all night, no matter what happened. If I heard breathing, I'd ignore it. If I felt a presence, I'd tell myself it was just my imagination. I would follow the protocol perfectly. The lights went out at 10 p.m. sharp. The recorded message played. "Good night, Dr. Cross. Remember the protocol. Sleep well." I closed my eyes and practiced my breathing exercises. An hour passed, maybe 2. I was drifting in that space between sleep and waking when I heard it again. Footsteps in the hallway. They stopped outside my door. The handle rattled, more insistently this time. Then the door opened. I heard it clearly, the click of the lock, the creak of hinges. Someone or something entered my room. I could hear footsteps on the carpet, moving closer to the bed. "Keep your eyes closed. Keep your eyes closed." The footsteps circled the bed, slowly, deliberately. I could hear breathing now, close enough that I should have been able to feel it on my skin. But I felt nothing, no movement of air, no warmth. Something touched the edge of the bed, the mattress depressed slightly as if someone had sat down. My heart was hammering so hard I was sure it would show on whatever monitors they were using, but I kept my eyes closed. The protocol. Follow the protocol. "You're doing well," a voice whispered.
Not Dr. Reeves's voice, something else, something that sounded like it was speaking through layers of cloth or water. I didn't respond, couldn't respond. Fear had frozen my throat.
You want to know what I am, don't you? The voice continued. It was moving now, circling the bed again, but I no longer heard footsteps, just the voice coming from different positions. You want to understand what happens in this room at night? What the protocol is really protecting you from? My rational mind knew this was a hallucination, sleep deprivation, suggestibility, the power of expectation. My therapist had warned me about this, how the mind could create entire experiences that felt absolutely real, but my body didn't believe it. My body knew, on some primal level, that I was in danger. 3 more nights, the voice said, now directly beside my ear. I felt no breath, but the words were clear. 3 more nights and you'll understand. 3 more nights and you'll be ready. Ready for what? I whispered before I could stop myself. The voice laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. To wake up, of course. Really wake up. Not this half-life you're living now. Not this shallow dreaming you call consciousness. The presence withdrew. I heard the door open and close, footsteps retreating down the hallway, and then silence. I lay there, eyes still closed, too afraid to move. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what had just happened. A hallucination. It had to be a hallucination, but it had felt so real. The depression of the mattress, the sound of the door, the voice. I must have fallen asleep eventually, because the next thing I knew, the lights were blazing and the morning announcement was playing. I opened my eyes to find Dr. Reeves entering the room, her expression unreadable. "How was your night?" she asked. I kept my eyes closed, like you told me to, but I heard things, felt things. Someone came into the room. Did you see anyone? No, I followed the protocol. She smiled, and for the first time I noticed that the smile didn't reach her eyes. Excellent. Your data from last night was very interesting. We're learning so much from you, Amelia. What are you learning? That will become clear soon enough. For now, just know that you're doing wonderfully. Only 5 more nights. Can you manage 5 more nights? I wanted to say no, wanted to leave and never come back, but something in her expression, something in the way she asked the question, made me feel like leaving wasn't really an option I had anymore. Yes, I heard myself say, I can manage. Night 3, the revelation. I didn't go home that day. Instead, I went to the Portland Public Library and started digging into the history of the building that housed the Somnus Institute. What I found disturbed me. The building had been constructed in 1923 as Clearview Sanitarium, a rest facility for people with nervous disorders. It operated for 40 years before being shut down in 1963 following a scandal. Apparently, the head doctor was conducting experimental treatments involving sleep deprivation, sensory isolation, and something the records vaguely referred to as consciousness alteration procedures. 17 patients had died during those 40 years, all of them in their sleep, all of them in the same room. Room 3, the room I was sleeping in. I found newspaper articles from 1963 reporting on the investigation. One quote from a surviving patient stood out. They made us follow the protocol, kept us in the dark, told us not to open our eyes, said if we looked, we'd see things we couldn't unsee. They were right. I opened my eyes on the 4th night. I wish I hadn't. Some things are waiting in the dark, and they don't like to be seen. The patient had been dismissed as delusional. But reading it now, knowing what I'd experienced, I felt a cold certainty settling in my stomach. The Somnus Institute wasn't studying sleep. They were continuing the experiments that had been shut down 60 years ago. I should have run, should have called the police, exposed them, done anything but return to that building. But I was in too deep now. 5 nights in, I'd experienced things that shouldn't be possible, and I needed to understand, needed to know what was really happening in that room. So at 8 p.m. I returned. Dr. Reeves was waiting. She attached the sensors, but this time I noticed something new. There were more of them. Sensors at the base of my skull, along my spine, places that seemed neurological rather than just monitoring sleep. What are these? I asked. Just additional monitoring, she said smoothly. We're expanding the scope of the study based on the fascinating data you've been providing. What are you learning? That will become clear soon enough. For now, just know that you're doing wonderfully. Only 5 more nights. Can you manage 5 more nights?
What data? Your brain activity during the night is unusual. You're experiencing REM sleep while maintaining partial consciousness. It's extraordinarily rare. We want to capture every detail. She finished attaching the sensors and looked at me directly. Tonight might be difficult, Amelia. You might experience things that feel very real. But remember, none of it can hurt you if you follow the protocol. Keep your eyes closed, no matter what. What if I can't? Then you'll see what's really in the room with you. And trust me, you don't want that. Not yet. Not until you're ready. Ready for what? That's the second time someone's mentioned me being ready. Dr. Reeves smiled that unsettling smile. All in good time, Amelia. 4 more nights, just 4 more nights. She left, locking the door behind her. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, and wondered what the hell I'd gotten myself into. It was only 9:30 p.m. 30 minutes until lights out. 30 minutes to change my mind, press the emergency button, demand to be released from the study. But I didn't, because part of me, the part that had always been curious, that had pursued a doctorate in neuroscience before the accident derailed my career, needed to know, needed to understand what was happening. The lights went out at 10 p.m. The recorded message played. But this time I noticed something new in the background, a sound like static or whispering, too faint to make out words. I closed my eyes and waited. The footsteps came earlier tonight. I heard them as soon as the lights went out, moving through the building. Multiple sets of footsteps converging on my hallway. They stopped outside my door. Whispers, urgent, hushed conversations in a language I didn't understand. Then the door opened and they entered. I kept my eyes closed. Someone, or several someones, moved around the room. I heard the rustling of papers, the soft beep of equipment being adjusted. They were doing something to the sensors attached to my body. I felt hands touching them, repositioning them. She's perfect, a voice said. Not Dr. Reeves, someone else. She's maintained consciousness through 3 transitions. That's better than the last one. The last one opened their eyes, saw us too early, had to be terminated. Terminated. The word hung in the air like a threat. This one won't. She's curious, but careful. She'll make it to the 7th night. And then we'll see if she's compatible, if she can hold them without fragmenting. Hold what? The voices continued, but they were moving away now, toward the corner of the room. I strained to hear, but they dropped to whispers too quiet to make out words. And then I felt it, a weight settling on the bed. Not sitting this time, lying down, right next to me. I could feel the mattress compress, could feel the sheets shifting. Something was lying in bed with me. Every muscle in my body tensed. I wanted to scream, to jump out of bed, to run, but I kept my eyes closed. The protocol. Follow the protocol. A voice, so close to my ear, I should have felt breath but didn't. Hello, Amelia. It was my husband's voice, David's voice. David, who had died 3 years ago in the accident that had started my insomnia. I've missed you, the voice said. It's so cold where I am, so dark. I've been waiting for you to come here, waiting for you to be ready. You're not real, I whispered. David is dead, dead, alive. Such limited concepts. Where I am, those words don't mean anything. There's just the sleeping and the waking. And you've been asleep for so long, Amelia. It's time to wake up. I don't understand. You will, on the 7th night, if you make it that far, if you can resist the urge to open your eyes and see what's really here with you. The weight on the bed shifted, moving closer. I could feel cold against my side, as if something ice cold was pressed against me. I can show you things, David's voice said. I can show you where I am, where you'll be. But only if you trust me, only if you keep your eyes closed and let me in. Let you in where? Into your dreams, into your waking, into that space between consciousness and unconsciousness meet. That's where we live now. The ones who've come before, the ones who've passed through the protocol.
Horror was creeping up my spine. You're not David. You're something else wearing his voice. The thing beside me laughed. I am David, and I'm not. I'm what David became when he died, what everyone becomes eventually. We all end up here, in the dark, waiting. Most people never realize it. They stay asleep their whole lives, but you're different. You're being prepared to wake up. The cold intensified. I was shaking now, though I couldn't tell if it was from fear or actual temperature drop. 4 more nights, the voice whispered. 4 more nights and you'll be one of us. Won't that be lovely? You and me together again. Forever in the dark. The weight lifted from the bed. The presence withdrew. And then the whispers started. They came from everywhere. The corners, the ceiling, the walls. Hundreds of voices overlapping, speaking in that language I didn't understand. They grew louder and louder until they were almost screaming. And through it all, I kept my eyes closed. I don't know how long it lasted. Minutes or hours, time felt fluid, meaningless. But eventually the voices faded, the room grew quiet again, and exhaustion finally dragged me down into something like sleep. When the lights came on at 6 a.m., I opened my eyes to find Dr. Reeves standing over me. Her expression was one of profound satisfaction. Remarkable, simply remarkable. You maintained protocol through a level 3 manifestation. Do you know how rare that is? What the hell is going on here? I demanded. What are you really doing to me? Exactly what we said, studying the transition between sleep and waking, but also something more. We're training you, Amelia, preparing you to perceive what most people can't, the other side, the place where consciousness goes when it sleeps. The things I'm experiencing, they're not hallucinations, are they? Hallucinations is such a limiting word. Are dreams hallucinations? Is consciousness itself a hallucination? What you're experiencing is real, just not in the way you've been taught to understand reality. She began removing the sensors. 4 more nights, that's all I ask. 4 more nights and everything will make sense. You'll understand what you're becoming. And if I leave now, then you'll spend the rest of your life wondering, never knowing, always seeing things out of the corner of your eye but never understanding what they are. Is that really what you want? No, it wasn't. Despite my fear, despite my better judgment, I wanted to know, needed to know. I'll come back, I said. Dr. Reeves smiled. I knew you would. Night 4, the threshold. I didn't sleep at all during the day. Instead, I drove to the library again and searched for more information about Clearview Sanitarium. This time, I found something I'd missed before, a mention of the doctor who'd run the facility, Dr. Harold Reeves, Patricia Reeves' grandfather. The article was from 1963, detailing the scandal. Dr. Reeves believed that consciousness could be separated from the body during sleep, that there was a dark realm accessed during deep sleep, and that with proper training,
A person could learn to navigate it consciously. He called it the threshold, the space between waking and sleeping, where the living and the dead could meet. He'd been trying to create what he called threshold walkers, people who could exist simultaneously in both realms, who could communicate with the dead, who could see the true nature of reality that lay beneath the surface world. All 17 patients who died had been his test subjects, and according to the records, they hadn't died of natural causes. They'd died because their consciousnesses had gotten stuck in the threshold, unable to return to their bodies. They'd died because they'd opened their eyes. The newspaper article included a quote from Dr. Reeves, given just before his medical license was revoked. "They call me mad, but I've seen the truth. We're not meant to sleep blindly through the night. We're meant to wake in the darkness to see what's really there. The protocol is the key. Follow the rules, keep your eyes closed, and the threshold will open. 7 nights is all it takes. 7 nights, and you'll never sleep the same way again. You'll be awake, truly awake." He disappeared after the facility was shut down. Died in 1975, according to his obituary. But his research hadn't died with him. His granddaughter had continued it.
And I was letting them. Dr. Patricia Reeves greeted me as always, professional and calm. She said nothing about her grandfather, nothing about the history of the building or the experiments that had killed 17 people. She just attached the sensors, reminded me about the protocol, and locked me in the room. I lay in bed as 10 p.m. approached, and I made a decision. Tonight I would open my eyes. I would see what they'd been training me to see. I would look into the threshold and understand what I was becoming. The lights went out, the message played, and I waited. The footsteps came as they had every night. The door opened. Figures entered the room. I could hear them moving, sense them surrounding the bed, and then the voices started. Not whispering this time, but speaking clearly. Multiple voices, overlapping. "She's ready, almost ready. One more night. She needs one more night. No, tonight. She's strong enough." The others weren't. They opened their eyes too soon. This one is different. She's been prepared. She's been chosen. I felt hands on me, cold hands, touching the sensors, touching my face, my arms, and I realized with horror that these weren't human hands. The fingers were wrong. Too long, too many joints. "Open your eyes, Amelia," a voice said. David's voice. "It's time. Look at us. See what you're becoming." Every instinct screamed at me to keep them closed. The protocol. Follow the protocol. But I needed to see. Needed to understand. I opened my eyes. The room was full. Dozens of figures packed into the small space, all surrounding the bed. They were human-shaped, but wrong, elongated, translucent, as if they were made of smoke or shadow. Their faces were blurred, indistinct, except for their eyes. Those were clear, too bright, and they were all staring at me. "Hello, Amelia," they said in unison. "Welcome to the threshold." I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I tried to move, but my body wouldn't respond. The sensors, I realized. They weren't just monitoring me. They were controlling me, keeping me paralyzed while these things surrounded me. One of them leaned closer. Its face shifted, solidifying into features I recognized. David. It wore David's face, but behind his eyes I could see something else. Something old and hungry. "We've been waiting for you, for someone strong enough to carry us, to give us a doorway back to the waking world. What are you?" I managed to whisper. "We're what comes after, what waits in the dark between heartbeats, between breaths. We're the consciousness of the dead, the sleeping, the dreaming, and we're hungry, Amelia, so hungry to be alive again." Another figure moved forward. This one wore my mother's face. She'd been dead for 10 years.
"You can help us," she said, in a voice that was almost, but not quite, my mother's. "You can be our vessel, our door. All you have to do is let us in. Let us use your body to walk in the world again." "No," I said. "No, I won't." "You don't have a choice," David's voice said. "You're here now. You've seen us. Once you see us, once you open your eyes in the threshold, you can't unsee us. We're with you now, forever." The figures began to press closer. I could feel them trying to push into me, trying to merge with my consciousness. They were cold, so cold, like drowning in ice water. I fought, struggled against the paralysis, against the invasion. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I remembered something from my neuroscience training. The body's response to sleep paralysis, the way to break it. I focused every ounce of willpower on my fingers, moved them just slightly, then my hand, then my arm. The paralysis broke. I sat up, ripping the sensors from my body. The figures recoiled, their forms becoming less solid. Without the sensors connecting me to whatever equipment they were using, they couldn't maintain their manifestation. "No!" Dr. Reeves's voice came through a speaker I hadn't noticed before. "Stop! You're ruining everything!" I stumbled out of bed, away from the figures. They were fading now, becoming translucent, but their eyes stayed fixed on me, watching, waiting. I ran for the door, knowing it would be locked, but trying anyway. It was. I was trapped in here with them. 3 more nights, the David thing said, its voice echoing strangely as it faded. 3 more nights and you would have been perfect. Now you've seen us too soon. Now you're infected, but not transformed. Stuck in between. What does that mean? I demanded. It means you'll see us everywhere now, in every shadow, every dark corner, every moment between waking and sleep. We're with you now, Amelia, forever.
They vanished completely, leaving me alone in the room. The door unlocked. Dr. Reeves entered, her calm professionalism replaced with barely contained fury. "You've ruined 4 nights of work," she said coldly. 4 nights of perfect preparation, and you couldn't wait 3 more days. Couldn't follow the protocol for 1 more week. What were you doing to me? Training you, preparing you to be a threshold walker, like my grandfather intended. You were perfect, strong-willed, resistant to suggestion, yet curious enough to continue. You could have been the first successful walker in 60 years, but you opened your eyes on the 4th night. That wasn't supposed to happen until the 7th. What happens now? Her expression was unreadable. Now you're incomplete. You've seen the threshold entities without full preparation. They've marked you, but they can't fully integrate. You're stuck halfway between worlds. I want to leave now. Of course, the study is over for you anyway. She stepped aside, gesturing to the open door. But Amelia, the things you saw tonight, they don't go away just because you leave this building. You've opened a door in your consciousness that can't be closed. You'll see them everywhere now. Every time you close your eyes, every time you sleep, they'll be waiting. I didn't wait to hear more. I grabbed my clothes and ran the 7 days after. That was 3 months ago. Dr. Reeves was right about one thing. It doesn't go away. Every night when I try to sleep, I see them, the shadow figures, the entities from the threshold. They stand in the corners of my bedroom, crowd around my bed, watch me with those 2 bright eyes. I can't sleep with the lights off anymore, but even with every light blazing, I still see them, translucent but present, waiting. They don't touch me, don't speak anymore, they just watch. And sometimes, when I'm on the edge of sleep, I feel them pressing close, trying to push through whatever barrier keeps them from fully manifesting. I went to a psychiatrist, described the hallucinations without mentioning the Somnus Institute. She prescribed antipsychotics. They don't help, because these aren't hallucinations, they're real. I hired a private investigator to look into the Somnus Institute. He found the building abandoned abandoned, condemned for code violations. No sign of Dr. Reeves or any staff, no indication that any sleep studies had ever been conducted there. But I have the scars from the sensors, I have the memories, and I have the entities that follow me everywhere I go. Yesterday, I got an email. No sender address, no subject line, just a message. 3 more nights would have completed the protocol. 3 more nights would have made you whole. Instead, you're fractured, living in both worlds, but belonging to neither. There's only one way to finish what we started. Come back, complete the protocol, or spend the rest of your life haunted by what you saw but can't fully understand. The choice is yours, but know this, they're getting stronger. Every night you sleep, every moment you spend between waking and dreaming, they gain more purchase in your consciousness. Eventually, they'll be strong enough to pull you through entirely, and then you'll be trapped in the threshold forever, just like the others. 3 nights, Amelia, that's all it would take. 3 nights to finish the transformation, to become a true threshold walker, to gain control over what you see and interact with instead of being controlled by it. Room 3 is waiting for you. We are all waiting. Dr. Patricia Reeves. I've been staring at this email for hours. Part of me wants to delete it, block the sender, pretend I never saw it, but another part, the curious, desperate part, is considering it. Because she's right about one thing, the entities are getting stronger. Last night, one of them touched me. I felt its cold fingers on my arm, real and solid. And when I jerked away, there were marks, 5 pale fingerprints on my skin that faded by morning but were definitely there. They're learning how to manifest in the waking world, and I'm the door they're using. None of these options are good, but one of them might let me survive with my sanity intact. I'm writing this down as a record, in case I choose option 3. In case I go back and something goes wrong, at least there will be evidence of what happened. Proof that the Somnus Institute is real, that Dr. Reeves is continuing her grandfather's work, that there are things in the dark that feed on consciousness. I'm also writing it as a warning. If you're ever approached by a sleep study, if you're offered money to spend nights in a medical facility, if someone mentions a protocol that involves keeping your eyes closed, run. Don't be curious like I was. Don't think you can handle it. Don't believe them when they say the hallucinations can't hurt you. Because they're not hallucinations. They're real. And once you see them, they never stop seeing you. Night 5, the return. I went back. I had to, because last night the entities didn't just touch me. They spoke, and what they said made me realize that not completing the protocol was a death sentence, just a slow one instead of quick. We're hungry, they whispered. Hungry for life, for warmth, for flesh. We feed on your consciousness every time you sleep. Every dream you have, we consume a little more of you. Eventually, there won't be enough left to sustain your body. You'll waste away while we feast on your mind. I could already feel it happening. I'd lost 12 pounds in 3 months, couldn't focus, couldn't work, could barely function. The entities were eating me alive from the inside. So I called the number on Dr. Reeves' email. She answered on the first ring. I knew you'd call, she said. Room 3 is prepared. When can you come? Tonight. Excellent. The sooner we complete the protocol, the sooner you'll have control. I arrived at the Somnus Institute at 8 p.m. The building wasn't abandoned. That had been misdirection for my investigator. It was still operating, still conducting experiments, still training threshold walkers. Dr. Reeves greeted me like an old friend. Welcome back, Amelia. I'm so glad you made the right choice. Did I have a choice? Everyone has a choice. You chose curiosity over ignorance, understanding over comfort. That's what makes you perfect for this. She led me to room 3. It looked exactly as I remembered. The sensors were laid out, waiting. But now I noticed something I'd missed before. Symbols carved into the wooden bed frame. The same kind of symbols I'd seen in books about occult rituals. What are those? I asked. Bindings, Dr. Reeves said simply. To keep the entities from fully crossing over until you're ready. My grandfather discovered that certain symbols could regulate the interaction between our world and the threshold. These ones create a permeable barrier. They can reach through, but they can't fully manifest, not until the transformation is complete. And if the transformation never completes, then they keep reaching through, keep feeding, keep trying, until there's nothing left of you but an empty shell. She began attaching the sensors. 3 more nights, Amelia, just 3. And this time, you must follow the protocol exactly. No opening your eyes, no matter what you experience. What will happen on the 7th night? You'll become a walker. You'll gain the ability to consciously navigate the threshold while maintaining your presence in the waking world. You'll see the entities not as threats, but as tools. They'll obey you instead of hunting you. And if something goes wrong, her expression flickered, then you'll become like the others, stuck in the threshold. But I don't think that will happen. You're stronger than they were. She finished with the sensors and checked her watch. 9:30. 30 minutes until lights out. Use the bathroom if you need to. Once we begin, you can't leave the bed until morning. She left me alone. I sat on the edge of the bed and wondered if I was making the biggest mistake of my life, or if that mistake had been opening my eyes 4 nights ago. At 10 p.m., the lights went out. The recorded message played, but this time I heard the words differently. Good night, Dr. Cross. Remember the protocol. Let them in. Let them in. That was new. I lay in the darkness and waited. The footsteps came immediately, multiple sets converging on my room from all directions. The door opened and they entered. I could feel them surrounding the bed, could sense their eagerness, their hunger. They'd been waiting for me to return. Welcome back, David's voice said. We missed you. What do you want from me? I whispered. The same thing you want from us. Life, consciousness. We're trapped in the threshold, unable to live or truly die. You're trapped in your body, unable to see the truth of existence, but together we can be complete. You give us a doorway to the waking world, and we give you the ability to see all of reality, not just the surface.
How do I know you're not just using me? That you won't consume me, like Dr. Reeves said, because we need you intact. A broken door is useless. We need you whole, aware, powerful. We need you to become a walker so we can walk through you. Something touched my hand, cold fingers intertwining with mine. Let us in, Amelia. Stop fighting. Stop resisting. Just let us in. I wanted to pull away. Every instinct screamed at me to resist, to fight, to reject this invasion of my consciousness. But I had already made my choice by coming back. I stopped fighting. The cold flowed into me. Not painful exactly, but overwhelming. I felt my consciousness expanding, stretching into spaces I didn't know existed. I could feel the entities merging with my awareness, their thoughts mixing with mine, their memories becoming mine. I saw what they'd seen, felt what they'd felt. The moment of death, that transition from life to threshold, the confusion, the fear, the slow realization that they were stuck in the dark between worlds, the hunger that grew as they watched the living but couldn't touch them, couldn't participate. And I felt their joy at finding me, at discovering someone who could bridge both worlds, who could give them a taste of life again. The integration lasted hours, or maybe just minutes. Time felt fluid, meaningless. When it was finally complete, when the last of them had settled into my consciousness, I felt fundamentally changed. I was still Amelia, but I was also something more now. Something that existed in 2 places simultaneously. Good, Dr. Reeves, his voice came through the speaker. The 5th night integration is complete. 2 more nights and you'll have full control. 2 more nights and you'll be a true walker. I didn't sleep that night, couldn't sleep. I was too aware of the entities living in my consciousness. They weren't separate anymore. They were part of me, and I was part of them. When the lights came on at 6 a.m., I opened my eyes to find Dr. Reeves smiling. "How do you feel?" "Different," I said. And it was true. The world looked different. Sounds were sharper, colors more vivid, and in the corners of the room, I could see them, the entities. Not threatening now, but present, part of my expanded awareness. "That's the threshold bleeding through," Dr. Reeves said. "By the 7th night, you'll have full control to move between worlds at will, to bring others through or keep them out as you choose." "What about the hunger? The entities feeding on consciousness?" "That doesn't stop. But as a walker, you'll be able to feed them with other sources. You'll learn how to harvest consciousness from those who sleep, from those who dream. You'll become what my grandfather always envisioned, a shepherd of the threshold, guiding consciousness between worlds." She said it like it was a gift, but I heard it for what it really was. I was being turned into a predator, someone who fed on sleeping minds to satisfy the entities living inside me. What if I refuse? What if I walk away now? Then the entities will consume you from within. You've let them in, Amelia. There's no removing them now. Your only choice is to complete the transformation and gain control, or let them slowly eat away your consciousness until there's nothing left. She was right. I could feel it. The entities were hungry, and without proper training, without completing the protocol, I wouldn't be able to control that hunger. I'd just be a vessel for their feeding, unable to stop them from consuming me and everyone around me. 2 more nights, I said. 2 more nights, she agreed. Night 6, the feeding. During the day, I researched threshold walkers, found references in obscure occult texts, in accounts of mystics and mediums, in case studies of people who'd claimed to speak with the dead. They all described similar abilities, the capacity to see and interact with entities from the threshold, to move consciousness between the waking world and the realm of death and dreams, to harvest and redistribute life force.
They also all described a cost. Walkers became increasingly disconnected from normal human existence. They stopped eating regular food because they were feeding on consciousness instead. They stopped forming relationships because normal humans seemed shallow compared to the rich awareness of the threshold. They stopped sleeping because sleep and waking became indistinguishable. Eventually, most walkers chose to cross over entirely, to leave their bodies behind and live permanently in the threshold. Was that what Dr. Reeves intended for me? To use me until I chose to abandon my physical form, leaving an empty husk behind? I returned to the Institute that evening with more questions than answers, but when I asked Dr. Reeves about the long-term fate of walkers, she just smiled. That's something you'll understand after the 7th night. Right now, focus on completing the transformation. The 6th night was when they taught me to feed. The lights went out, the entities came. But this time, instead of just integrating with my consciousness, they showed me how to extend my awareness beyond my body. I could feel other minds in the building, researchers, staff, other study participants, each one glowing with life, with consciousness, with that vital energy the entities craved. "Choose one," David's voice whispered. "Reach out and take just a little. They won't even notice. It'll feel like a particularly vivid dream to them. But to you, to us, it will be sustenance." I resisted at first. Taking someone's consciousness, even a little, felt like violation, like a kind of psychic vampirism. But the hunger was growing. The entities were part of me now, and their hunger was my hunger. If I didn't feed them, they'd feed on me. I reached out to the nearest consciousness, a research assistant working late in another part of the building. I felt her mind, her thoughts, her dreams. Gently, carefully, I took a small thread of her awareness. She gasped. I heard it through the walls, through the building itself, but she didn't wake, didn't realize what had happened. She just slumped over her desk, suddenly exhausted, and fell into deep sleep. And I felt satisfied, full. The gnawing hunger quieted. "Good," Dr. Reeves' voice said through the speaker. "Very good.
That's how you'll sustain yourself as a walker. Small feedings from many sources. No one person harmed significantly, but your needs met. It feels wrong. It feels necessary. And tomorrow night, after the 7th integration, you'll understand why it's not just necessary, but right. You'll see the truth of consciousness, of existence itself. You'll understand that what you're doing is part of the natural order. I didn't sleep that night either, just lay there, feeling the stolen consciousness dissolving into energy, feeding the entities inside me, feeding me. By morning, I felt stronger than I had in months, more alert, more alive. The hunger had been satisfied, but at what cost? Night 7, the transformation. The 7th night, the final integration. Dr. Reeves attached the sensors for the last time. Her hands were trembling, whether from excitement or nervousness. I couldn't tell. She said, "Tonight you become fully realized. Tonight you transform into what my grandfather always dreamed of creating, a perfect threshold walker. Are you ready?" I don't know. That's honest, but ready or not, it's happening. The integration is too far along to stop now. She finished with the sensors and stepped back. Tonight will be different from the others. Tonight you'll be taken fully into the threshold. You'll see it in its entirety, and then you'll have to choose. Return to your body as a walker or stay in the threshold permanently. What happens if I stay? Your body dies. Your consciousness joins the entities there. You become one of them, one of the hungry dead, forever trapped in the dark. And if I return, you become something new. Something that's never successfully existed before. A living person with full access to the threshold. A bridge between worlds. She left me alone. The lights went out at 10 p.m., right on schedule. But this time, the recorded message was different. "Good night, Dr. Cross. Welcome home." The entities came immediately, but they weren't separate from me anymore. They were me. David's voice was my voice. My mother's thoughts were my thoughts. We were completely integrated, and together we fell. Not sleeping, falling, through layers of reality, through consciousness itself, down into the deepest part of the threshold. I saw it then, really saw it. The threshold wasn't a place, it was a state of being. It was where all consciousness went during sleep, during death, during those moments when the mind disconnected from the physical world. It was vast, infinite, containing every dream ever dreamed, every thought of every being that had ever existed, and it was hungry. Not the entities. They were just manifestations, symptoms of the larger hunger. The threshold itself was hungry. It consumed consciousness, feeding on the life force of sleeping minds, growing stronger with each dream, each death, each moment of unconsciousness. The protocol wasn't training me to control entities. It was training me to become an agent of the threshold itself, a harvester, a predator that fed the hunger. I saw Dr. Harold Reeves there, in the threshold, or what was left of him. He'd become a walker and eventually crossed over completely, abandoning his body to live in the realm of dreams and death. But he wasn't free. He was trapped, just like all the others, feeding the hunger for eternity. And Dr. Patricia Reeves was trying to send more food to him, more consciousness to feed on. That's what the walkers were, conduits, ways to harvest consciousness from the waking world and deliver it to the threshold. I'd been deceived, manipulated, prepared to become a farmer for the hungry dark. But I'd also gained something through the integration, knowledge, power, understanding of how the threshold worked, and I knew how to fight back. I reached out with my consciousness, pulling on threads of awareness from all the sleeping minds around me, not to feed the threshold, to starve it. I gathered the consciousness and held it, protected it, refused to let it be consumed. The threshold screamed. It was a sound that wasn't a sound, a sensation of pure rage and hunger denied. The entities inside me rebelled, trying to force me to release the consciousness I was protecting. But I was stronger now. The integration had made me powerful enough to resist. I pulled harder, gathering more consciousness, more awareness,
building a wall between the sleeping world and the threshold, cutting off its food supply. "What are you doing?" Dr. Reeves' voice came through, panicked now. "Stop! You're disrupting everything!" "I'm ending it. No more feeding, no more harvesting, no more walkers." I felt the building shaking, the equipment failing. All the carefully constructed apparatus Dr. Reeves had built to facilitate the transformations was breaking down as I severed the connection between the Institute and the threshold. "You'll kill us all!" she screamed. Better dead than enslaved. I pulled one final time, and something broke. A fundamental connection between the waking world and the threshold. Not permanently, that wasn't possible, but enough to collapse the Institute's operations, enough to free the consciousness that had been trapped there. I felt the entities inside me shrieking as they were pulled back into the threshold, felt David's presence torn away from mine, felt all the integrated consciousness ripped out, leaving me alone in my mind for the first time in 3 days. The pain was excruciating, like having part of my brain torn out. But when it was over, when the separation was complete, I was just me again, fully human, fully alone. I woke in my bed in room 3. The sensors were sparking, smoking, destroyed by whatever I'd done. The door was open, alarms were blaring. I stumbled out of the room and through the building. Staff members were unconscious, collapsed where they'd been standing when I'd severed the connection. I didn't know if they'd wake up or not. I found Dr. Reeves in her office. She was conscious but blank-eyed, staring at nothing. "What did you do?" she whispered. "Do to my grandfather." "I set him free, or I killed him. I'm not sure which, maybe both. The protocol. Years of work destroyed." "Good. It should have been destroyed 60 years ago." I left her there and walked out of the Somnus Institute. Behind me, I could hear the building groaning as if it were collapsing in on itself. Maybe it was. Maybe severing the connection to the threshold had destabilized the entire structure. I didn't look back to see. I still have trouble sleeping, but it's normal trouble now. Not entities watching me from the shadows, not consciousness being slowly consumed, just regular insomnia. The kind that can be treated with therapy and sometimes medication. The Somnus Institute burned down 2 weeks after I left. Electrical fire, the news said. Everyone inside died, including Dr. Patricia Reeves. I should feel guilty about that, but I don't. She'd been trying to feed people to her grandfather's hunger for decades, trying to create walkers who would harvest consciousness for the threshold, trying to continue experiments that should have ended with Clearview Sanitarium. I destroyed her life's work, and I'd do it again. Sometimes, late at night, I still feel the threshold, a faint pull, like a riptide in an ocean of consciousness. It's always there, always hungry, always waiting for someone to fall asleep and slip into its embrace. But I'm not part of it anymore. I'm just a normal person with normal insomnia and normal nightmares. And that's exactly how I want it. I'm writing this as a warning. If you ever hear about a sleep study with unusual protocols, if someone tells you to keep your eyes closed no matter what, if you're offered money to spend nights in a medical facility where things don't quite feel right, run. Don't be curious. Don't think you can handle it. Don't believe them when they promise understanding or healing or answers, because some doors, once opened, can never be fully closed. Some things seen can never be unseen. And some protocols exist not to protect you, but to prepare you for consumption. I got lucky. I was strong enough, angry enough, and informed enough to fight back. Most people won't be. Most people will just follow the rules, keep their eyes closed, and wake up as something that isn't quite human anymore. So remember, if someone ever tells you not to open your eyes, it's probably because they don't want you to see what they're turning you into. Trust your instincts. Break the rules. Open your eyes and run.
Thank you for joining me tonight on The Pale Watcher. I hope this story makes you think twice about the rules you follow in the dark, about the protocols and rituals we accept without question, about what might be watching us when our eyes are closed. Before you sleep tonight, know that the threshold is real, not exactly as I've described it, perhaps, but real in the sense that there's a space between consciousness and unconsciousness that we all visit, and sometimes things live in that space, things that hunger, things that wait. Sweet dreams, night wanderers, and remember, if you ever awake in the dark and sense something wrong, something present, something watching, open your eyes, see what's really there. The truth may be terrifying, but ignorance is worse, because the things in the dark don't fear being seen, they fear being understood, and understanding is the first step towards resistance. Until next time, sleep well, and remember, the protocol is never for your benefit, it's always for theirs.